why we are drifting our attention a little bit this morning from all the political talk to some pressing health issues that concern you and your family. I'm going to get into it in no time, but there's a little piece of news that we need to send out there. There's a missing person that we are currently looking for, and we want to send the information to you out there so you can help us trace or locate where Uncle Kwame Boateng is at the moment. It's on your screens right now. His picture is right there. If you can enlarge it a little bit, it doesn't matter if the full text doesn't show. I'll read the text from my phone. Please let us have the picture enlarged so it can help our viewers locate him wherever he is. Now, Uncle Kwame left Botre for Accra on the morning of 28th June. That was 2 days ago, 2021, and has since not returned. Now, he left in his Kia Spectra 5, and all attempts to reach him have proven futile since his phone is also currently off. Now, a report has subsequently been made to the police, so anyone with information on his whereabouts, or if you have sighted him anywhere, kindly contact the Medina police station or the nearest police station. And now that you're also getting this piece of news from TV3, kindly make sure that you reach us wherever. It can be on Twitter, Facebook, on Instagram. Our handle is over there, TV3 Ghana. Let us know if you have our phone numbers, and on this show, our WhatsApp numbers are available. You can also send us any message if you have any information on where Uncle Kwame Boateng is at the moment. Hopefully, we find him. So that's his picture right there again. If you've seen him anywhere, spotted him anywhere, the Medina police station is where you have to go to, or contact TV3 just in case you sight him somewhere around the capital or even in Ghana. Yes, that's his picture, Uncle Kwame. Please make sure and help us find him so he can return to his friends and family. Thank you very much for that one. Now, I want to believe, or I can ascertain, that at some point in your life, you ate some meal that tasted very good. I mean, it was nice. It was either to kill hunger or probably to solve a craving, or maybe meet the feeling of a craving that you had. It was good, it tasted nice, but just a few hours after, or even some days after, you started vomiting, or you had diarrhea, you were feeling sick in your stomach, and you were wondering what it was. You may have not ended up in the hospital, but many people, as statistics show, end up in the hospital to be treated, and that's where they find out that they've had food contamination or food poisoning, as many people know it. But exactly what causes food poisoning? Now, when I was running my research for this very segment, I chanced on this interesting fact that food poisoning can actually happen during the growing, harvesting, processing, storing, shipping, and even the preparation of the very meals that we consume every day. Now, foods such as salads are the ones that are very susceptible to food contamination. So the question remains, in staying healthy in this day and age where people are advocating, or doctors or health practitioners are advocating, that we eat a lot of fruits and a lot of vegetables, are we even safe consuming them, especially knowing that they attract the bacteria for food contamination? To make sense of all of this and to solve many of the questions that you may have on your mind, as I also have on my mind this morning, I have Dr. Dennis Bote. He's a medical director at the Health Net Medical Center. He's a medical practitioner. He's going to be helping us this morning. And we have another guest, Osei Poku, who's experienced what food poisoning is and has actually landed him in an unfortunate situation that he freely will be sharing with us this morning. Call family, call friends, let them know that this is a very important segment that they all need to watch, because we need all the information that we can get this morning. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Dr. Boy, I'm sure you're supposed to be in the hospital by now, but you've sacrificed for us. Yeah. We really, really appreciate your time. Osepoku, good to see you.
Thank you.
Wow. I saw you managing the stairs, and that's when I noticed a little limp in your steps. Yeah. So I couldn't figure it out, and then during our pre-discussion before we came live was when I actually realized that you developed a stroke from food poisoning. Yeah. Dr. Bote, that's weird, right? Is that strange medically?
Well, stroke from food poisoning.
it may be weird, but it's still not out of.
It's very possible, eh?
Anything is possible in medicine. When it comes to food poisoning, it's basically because of the fact that the food a person is eating is contaminated either with bacteria, viruses, or fungi, or any parasites that could enter into the person's system. And these organisms can actually translocate themselves anywhere. So as simple as people think food poisoning is, oh, I just had diarrhea and vomiting. But these elements or bacteria or these organisms can actually, they release toxins into your system, which toxins can end up in your kidneys. And therefore, apart from all the simple things you see around diarrhea and vomiting, fever, cramps, they can end up giving somebody kidney failure.
Wow.
Depending on the type of bacteria you have, there's a bacteria we call Listeria. Listeria can enter into the brain and cause meningitis, so they can cause brain and nerve injury as well. They can enter into the intestines and give somebody irritable bowel syndrome. So what we are saying is that these organisms, they actually produce toxins that can affect multiple systems in the body. So I'm yet to listen to his full story,
yeah.
But at least for the fact that he developed a stroke, I'm yet to see the side, whether it's actually a food poison that caused it or whatever is the content of what he ate, we'll be able to see. But what I'm saying is that food poisoning can have very dire consequences, very, very dire. It can destroy kidneys, it can give something we call toxic shock. People can go into toxic shock. People can go into have brain damages as a result of bacteria and these organisms being able to translocate themselves into other organs of the body.
Wow. Osepuku, exactly what is your story? What happened?
Okay, mine is I like cooking.
Okay. Are you a chef?
No.
You're not. You just love to cook.
I love to cook.
Okay.
So, I was trying different spices, artificial spices. Let me say, I wasn't doing the natural spices.
Okay.
I'll buy any spices from the market, drop in my food. If it tastes nice, I keep it.
When you say artificial spices, what do you mean?
Nothing natural in it, like our ginger, our garlic, our
pepper
and
onions,
yes,
and all that.
If you take some spices in the market, check the ingredients. First is salt, and I was a BP patient, and I was doing with your steaming, your stew base, everything. So you have salt, you have MSG, you have color, you have preservatives. There's nothing like garlic, pepper,
or herbs such as parsley, thyme, rosemary, and you were not using any of those.
Mine was, you get the spices. The fact that it makes the food taste good.
It was enough for you.
So the day before I had the first one, had prepared my meal, dropped in a lot, and then after eating, I started feeling
uneasy,
not feeling too well. So I took my BP check, and
You checked your BP?
And it was way ahead. Way. So my big brother was like, no, let's get to the hospital. As soon as I got up, I went black.
You blacked out?
And that was it. I woke up in the hospital with one side off. I didn't know.
Chest like that?
Yes. I didn't know it was the
constant use of the non-natural spices that you were using.
So I got better. I started physio and all that. Then I went back to my eating. This time I wasn't doing the normal like food that had your contumely and those kind of things. I think on the 8th of December, I had my normal bangkun with pepper. And this spices I broke half. You will still put some in your pepper? Dropped it and, mashed. After that, the whole night I didn't sleep. So the morning, I had another relapse. Which December? Last year? No, 2 years ago? 2016. Okay, all right. I had a relapse. Okay. And with that one, I even went totally blind. The second stroke, I went totally blind. And I couldn't walk, couldn't speak. Okay. Now, before you go, I want to understand something. Was it cube that you broke and mashed in the pepper? Yeah. It was cube? Yeah. Okay. And later, I realized that the cubes has to go on fire. I know if you go to 10 homes, out of 10, you have 8 doing that kind of thing with pepper and cubes.
Cubes, just raw like that.
Yes.
They just mash
Because
it
it gives
together.
it- so
Some nice flavor. Okay.
But if you check these cubes, you see that the ingredients are salt-based, MSG, and those things. So if you're a BP patient like me, if you are, I think you have low BP, you can take salt. But high BP,
You cannot take it. Wow. So how did you know? Were you told by the doctors that it was the spices you were using? Because remember, you already had an underlying condition, which was BP already. And we all know, I mean, he's a medical expert. When you have BP, you know that it's possible that you can develop a stroke out of it. I know because it's in my family. I've experienced it with my uncles and all. So, Doc, I'm trying to understand how the spices actually aggravated the situation. First of all, got you paralyzed, and the second time you went blind totally. So how did you even regain your sight? How did it happen? How did the doctors diagnose to know that no, it's the spices that you were taking?
I won't say, what I'll say is that, salt takes your BP up.
Okay.
Naturally.
A lot of it?
A lot of it.
Or just the normal amount?
No. A lot of it.
Okay.
If you're a BP patient, Doc, if you help me, if you're a BP patient, salt
is a no-no.
Or you do even a little. So most of the time, my BP goes up and it causes that for me.
Okay.
Okay, I think Dr. Botti wants to come in right now. I'm a little confused, but thank God the doctor is here because he looks very young. So I want to understand, do you know where the genesis of your BP began? Do you know where, was it hereditary?
Yeah, hereditary.
It's in the family.
Yeah, it's in the
okay,
family.
so that's established. Doc.
All right, so there's a strong family history of high blood pressure, hypertension. And with that on the background, it's important that the person understands that when you have high blood pressure, one of the things doctors will tell you is to reduce salt intake, even if you can avoid it totally. The reason is because of the sodium chloride, the sodium that is in it. In the human body physiology, we put it this way: wherever sodium goes, water follows. So if you have a lot of salt in your blood, then it means that you are also going to pull in a lot of water into the bloodstream. And the more volume of blood you have in terms of water in the blood, the higher the pressure is going to be. And then the antecedents, anything that high blood pressure can do, that can happen to you as well. In this peculiar case, from what he's saying, that means that even if he wasn't hypertensive and he was consuming a lot of this salt and MSG, that's monosodium glutamate, and all these other spices, salt-based, then it can even elevate his pressure, even if he were to be having a normal blood pressure. So for somebody like that who had already been diagnosed as having high blood pressure and topping it up with the sodium MSG, monosodium glutamate, and then the salts, these spices that he's talking about, then he's going to aggravate the situation.
Okay.
And so the stroke would have emanated from a high blood pressure or a compounded high blood pressure because of a lifestyle, a bad lifestyle, because of what he loved to eat. It also doesn't mean that. The second example is that of having eaten normal. You said what kontomre and still the kakra water.
Or the kakra chimu, konsuswa or tree konsuswa ne tomatoes and
yes.
No, but why won't it be a choice of just natural salt, but you want to use cubes? Money, like I haven't tried it before.
Oh, it gives it. No, don't try it. It's bad.
But
it gives it
a lot of our chop bars.
Yeah,
they do it. Yeah,
you taste the thing and you
so
realize.
I was in a home some time back, and the lady was making yam, just ampesi, or the cube egu ampesi. So
the sugar goon.
Yeah, I mean sugar. It makes sense a little bit. I think so. You want to make it taste sweet, but to use cubes on there to give it some extra spice or taste, it's anyway. Let's just come back to the matter of the day.
Yes. So adding all these things to help your taste or to give you a good taste does not necessarily mean it's helpful for
It's
your body.
healthy,
I keep
yeah.
saying that the body will digest anything you give to it.
Right.
Anything you put it will digest, it will absorb. It gets into your system. But the consequences thereof, you cannot have a
Exactly.
control over. And the same things you eat is the same thing that can destroy you.
Right.
So it's important that we are mindful of what we put into our system. So I keep saying that anytime you have food to eat, just look at what you are eating. Just ask yourself, what are the content, even if it's natural thing and not artificial. Just ask you, what are the components of this thing? I keep saying that somebody sees somebody eating kenke and pepper, and be laughing at the person. You will want to eat all the cheesy stuff. But I keep saying that just take pepper alone. You have pepper in there, you have a little bit of salt, you have ginger, you have garlic, you have onion, you have tomatoes. It's a whole meal. And so
It's actually better than
it's
eating all the
better.
cheesy stuff you mentioned.
Exactly. So
Okay.
just look at the components of what you are eating and don't think that because we have stigmatized, dokuna and chinam, dokuna pepper there, here for No,
yeah.
those are, we even stigmatized
Yeah.
food. So it's important that we listen to what he's saying, that some of these spices, artificial spices, can be dangerous.
Okay.
You are what you eat.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are what you eat. Now, let's bring it to the other side of the populace who may not necessarily be putting cubes and all these MSGs in their meals, but probably yesterday night or yesterday even in the afternoon had a normal meal, kenke, banku, rice or whatever, and then in no time, and I've been told that sometimes it can even go as late as 28 days before you even start getting the reaction of food poisoning. So exactly what causes it? I remember you mentioned the transfer of bacteria. And I've also done a little research to know that there are pathogens in almost every meal or almost every food that is available. But they are reduced or they are properly taken care of or eradicated when the food is boiled or cooked.
Right.
So it means that when the food is fresh, that's when it's more susceptible to having pathogens and everything on there. So how do I know what to eat? And if I have food poisoning, how does it set in? What do I start to feel to know that I have food poisoning?
Yeah, so whatever you're eating is coming from somewhere. It's coming from the farmlands. I mean, you mentioned the transition
Yes.
from the farm to...
Yes, the processing to the
Proce-
shipping, to
all
the
that.
storing, and even the
Yes,
cooking.
Cooking.
Yeah.
So at any point in this transition,
Stage, yeah.
anything can happen. From the farmlands, right from the farmlands, sometimes the things that are used on the farm, the kind of water used to even...
Water the crops and all that.
I mean, sometimes you see some gardens by the gutter sites in
Gutter,
Accra,
yeah.
and then they use the same gutter water. And these are lettuces and
Yes.
veggies
Vegetables,
that
yeah.
we always recommend that we eat those once more. And they get onto the market, and they get on to finally end up on the
In our
tables in the
homes.
kitchen. And we say that the vegetables and fruits are best even in their natural form.
Yeah.
Now, in this case, it's not artificial; it's natural.
It's natural.
But there are organisms that we call bacteria, fungi, viruses. They also have their natural habitat. They have an ecosystem they are in. They don't intend to harm you. They are also living. But that's where they find themselves. So if they come to you and you voluntarily put them in your system, they would eventually harm you. So the foods that get into our table may be contaminated with some bacteria. They may be contaminated with certain viruses. And when they get into the tummy, they cause irritations and then can cause diarrhea. So it's important that when any food gets onto your table, especially where you are going to eat it raw, you need to wash it very, very, very well. A lot of washing and cleaning or cleansing is important. There are some times too that people may take things like some eggs, some meat or chicken, all these things, they've been transported. Or sometimes you go to the certain types of seafoods, oysters, you go to the seaside, we pick it right there,
and all
you know,
that.
and then we just open it and then you just pick it up.
Yeah.
Yes, it's good. Seafood is good. But where you are picking it from and eating it right, there may be other organisms there that you put into your system. And again, depending on what dosage of the bacteria or organism you put in yourself, it also translates into how quickly you are able to have symptoms. Somebody may not have symptoms because maybe just a little amount of the organism went into the person, and the immune system would have started fighting and would have kept it at bay. However, somebody may take a whole lot more, and the speed of onset of symptoms would depend actually on the incubation period for that bacteria itself or that organism itself.
So that's why sometimes it can take as far as 28 days
That's right.
for you to start feeling the reaction.
That's right.
Oh.
So the incubation period and also, again, the dose of which you put into yourself.
But Doc, I thought they said, well, I'm saying they because we've heard it on the streets that your system inside of you is warm. So if inside of you is warm, how isn't it able to kill the bacteria that is sitting in your stomach or wherever in your body, and it can actually hatch in 28 days and start making you feel all the symptoms of food poisoning?
It's warm, but what is the temperature? I mean, we have our body temperature
at least 36 degrees.
That is not warm. That is not warm at all. We work in temperatures outside. It's
higher than that.
Yeah. So when you talk of temperatures that what we call heat labile, that can actually destroy bacteria much higher. So when you put the food on fire, you boil water, it's all like 100 degrees.
Yeah, 100 degrees. Yeah, the
those
boiling point of water is 100 degrees.
Those are the temperatures that can actually destroy these things. But the one in your tummy there, I mean, listen, we go to theater, we open up the abdomen, we work in somebody's abdomen, we don't feel bent.
Right.
I mean, it's
warm, just normal, so it's nothing.
So that temperature is not enough to be able to kill any bacteria.
Okay. All they need is a morning coat.
Yeah, and some of these bacteria or these organisms, they have certain coats around them. So they have resistant coats that can actually resist what you have in your system. Some may be a bit resistant to acid, or some may be resistant to alkali, depending. So some of these organisms may have their effect right in the stomach area, or some also go down into the colon area where they can cause a lot of action. And as we said, some of them, like staphylococcus, streptococcus, and those things, they can cause a lot of problems. The severe diarrhea, vomiting can lead to the person getting shocked.
So that's where I want to come to. How do you start reacting when you get food poisoning? Which one starts first? Is it the tummy upset? Is it the throwing up? Is it the diarrhea? Which one? How quickly would you know that I deal with it as a mediator bonnie?
Usually, if you start like you might feel a bit crampy, like a cramp, and then
like
you feel like
in your stomach or your abdomen.
In your abdomen.
In your abdomen.
You see, when you say abdomen, it's all the way from all the way down.
But as a woman, you know when I say abdomen, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so from your stomach,
and there will be that urge to defecate, and you realize that you are in a hurry. Like you feel like you are so pressed, you have to find somewhere to pass. We all have had some of these experiences before. Like even when you are driving, you have to branch somewhere and ask them if there's it can happen.
Right.
So and when naturally you should be able to hold yourself back even when you feel like when there's no problem.
But in
when
this moment,
that torrential effect in the tummy, you can't hold back, and then it may usually it's the diarrhea, and it can once you empty yourself.
Right.
In the short time, you feel like
so the frequency gets aggravated,
and
so you should know.
As it gets worse, the vomiting may also come in. But mostly it's with the cramps and the diarrhea. And then later on, a day after, you can have the fever. That means that we call it infective gastroenteritis. So now there's an infection in where you can really say that this is either from a virus or a bacterium or something like that. Then a fever can set in. And if the diarrhea doesn't stop, then you might end up in the hospital where they were putting drips on you. And again, I said that these bacteria, they are not just there. As for them, they think we are in an environment, we are doing what we have to do. They didn't mean to kill you, but then they will end up releasing their toxins.
But so can food poisoning kill you?
Yeah.
Can you die out of it?
So easily.
What did you say?
It can kill. Food poisoning can
kill you.
You haven't had any experience?
My friend, I lost a friend.
Yes.
Through food poisoning.
It can kill.
Then it isn't something to be toyed with.
No.
So how quickly must you get medical attention to be able to stay alive?
When you have things like that, at least we always say that have a first aid box at home, at least some ORS.
So when it starts, what can you take? ORS?
At least try to rehydrate yourself.
Okay.
Because if it more than 3 times, 4 times, then you are likely to start getting weak. And so then you must start getting ready to get to the hospital. But it's important that you have some rehydration, but it's important to get to the hospital quickly. I mean, in which case they might take some of your stool or blood to run checks. They will do cultures to see which particular bacteria it is. Sometimes it can be E. coli, it can be Listeria, it can be any of the possible.
Salmonella.
Salmonella.
Yeah,
yes,
Salmonella.
yes.
Yeah.
And you see, and as I said, they have dire consequences, complications. So it's important that when you're having these cramps, get to the hospital. Sometimes it's just oral medication you be given
And you're
when you
fine.
are assessed that it's not too bad. Maybe you'll be observed for a while and then you can go back home. But there are cases where can be that serious that within a short time, person can actually die. Children can die from dehydration, especially. So, and then kidney failure.
Okay. All right.
Brain
So,
damages.
so we're discussing this before we started, and one lady said, if I'm breastfeeding and I have food poisoning, can my child be affected?
Well, it's possible. It's possible. So if there are toxins, as I said, these toxins can move to any part of your system. So some of these toxins may end up in the breast milk, they might seep into breast milk and could affect the child. So it's important that you get treated as quickly as possible, so that you save your child.
Osabuku, I'll come to you again before we wrap up, but Dr. Bote, in this day and age where health experts are advocating for a lot of fruits and vegetables in our meals so we can live longer and be stronger, you mentioned that it's necessary to wash your vegetables and your fruits thoroughly. But unfortunately, in this part of the world, even some of the water that we use to wash these vegetables and fruits are already contaminated. So I have a friend who would wash her vegetables and fruits with tap water, and then she washes it 3 or 4 times. Now, in the 4th water is distilled water, mineral water, and she will add vinegar, some bit of vinegar to it. And if she doesn't have vinegar, she would add salt. Is that right? Is that
Yes,
correct?
That's
good practice.
I agree with her.
Okay.
I agree with her because, as you said,
the water is contaminated.
We recommend the fruits and vegetables. It's very important.
Right.
Yet, what you wash it with is itself
more
not
important.
safe. And washing is important because if not for anything at all, you reduce the quantum of organisms on the
sleeping on
product.
there. Yeah.
Yes. So once you reduce the quantum drastically, chances are that you are not going to be affected. As I said, sometimes it depends also on how much of the
bacteria sitting on there.
System.
Yeah.
Because if it's so much, they overwhelm your immune system. But if it's just a little, your immune system is able to mop up quickly. So it's important that all the stages you have mentioned, I agree.
They are good
can
practice.
Wash and wash.
Yeah.
But you see, it makes life become more expensive.
More expensive, and it's like, listen, I just want to eat. How many? I'm washing number 1, 2, 3.
But
the
thing is that when you get sick, you spend more.
Exactly. So it's actually better to spend more time cleaning the food that's getting into your system. Now, Osepoku, I'm glad that you're very alive this morning and even been able to come share your story. But what lifestyle changes have you had to make as a result of this mild stroke? Can I call it mild? Yeah, because of course you can walk. So thankfully, we are grateful to God. But what lifestyle changes have you made to be able to survive every day?
I simply live by the rule: if you don't make your food your medicine, you will make medicine your food. And I watch what I eat.
So you don't eat salt anymore?
Even if I do my salad and I wash it with salt, I don't have vinegar and I wash it with salt. I wash it again.
You re-wash it to take off the salt. So what's your normal meal like now? When you cook, and I say, you don't drop those cubes in?
No salt, nothing.
Doesn't that change the taste of the food?
You see, naturally, let's say I take in yogurt.
Right.
Constantly. I have the taste of yogurt.
You have an acquired taste. It comes with time.
Yeah, it comes with time. Now, if I eat my foods, no salt, nothing, it takes so. If you see my soup, I have a lot of vegetables in my soup.
Right.
Every soup I take, every food I take, vegetables. No salt, and I use the natural spices.
Okay. So the thyme, the bay leaves, the rosemary, the nkete, ginger, garlic. Those are better because they are natural.
Yeah, natural.
All right, so
our culture, we like salt too much.
you're pensioning.
Because at the end, and then when somebody dies, what would you say? Oh, we didn't.
Wow, I see. Dr. Bote, your last words before we get off.
Right, so I would say that food poisoning can be that dangerous. It can go all the way to you losing your life. And in some cases, you can lose your kidneys, or you can have brain damages or other organ system damages. So it's important that we watch what goes into our mouth. Make sure that it's clean as much as possible. And especially if you're also buying stuff and you know that the taste, sometimes the smell of what you are buying, the thing you are buying can tell you that something is wrong. Or maybe if the thing has expired for a very long time, you need to be wary because anything can happen, and you can't trade your life for any other thing like that.
Thank you for your advice. Osei,
what I would say is you are what you eat.
okay.
Just check what goes into your system and you will live long.
All right. Now, talking about living long, at least we have life this morning, and we've been advised as to what to eat because you are what you eat, and that if you don't make food your medicine, you make medicine your food in the long run. But this morning, we still have life. We are kicking. We are alive and kicking. At least Osei Poku is here, and alive Dr. Bote is also here. So it means that we can jam. It's about time